Hi everyone, Harvey here. In the blink of an eye, we are 25 days into the MCO. It is not a secret that due to COVID-19, we may be in for one of the deepest recessions in history. In these circumstances, many young graduates and young working professionals are understandably worried about their future, especially when every day brings with it a fresh news report on soaring unemployment rates. Faced with this, being an average performer isn't enough. You need to be a truly outstanding employee who contributes to the company to be retained. Even if you are laid off, you don't need to fret as long as you are equipped with the right skills and the right attitude, since these workers are always in high demand. So I've gathered feedbacks from more than 10 CEOs on their career advice and share with you guys. Today, I'm addressing fresh graduates and young working professionals who come from humble beginnings and are motivated to succeed. I'm aware that my views may differ from yours, especially if you are the kind of person who seeks work-life balance. That's fine with me, as my suggestions are targeted toward those who wish to achieve success by ethical means. I'm going to start by highlighting common mistakes people make when deciding on a career. Typically, young people will consult their parents for advice on jobs. It's great that they are respecting their parents by asking for their opinion, but it's important to remember that our parents grew up in a different era. Their advice will be based on their own experience, not current reality. Aside from parents, people also turn to their friends for suggestions. However, not every friend has the kind of mindset that enables them to excel in their job. By seeking advice from friends who are only mediocre workers, you risk adopting their mindset. Of course, it's perfectly fine to request details such as their company's main business, working hours, workplace environment, and culture as part of market research. What I'm trying to say is that as much as we love our parents and our friends, we can't just rely on them for the best advice. Ideally, when it comes to weighty decisions like career planning, you should seek a mentor that not only has the latest job market information, but is also not afraid to offend you. Now that you have decided on your career path, here comes the question: what kind of company should I work in? Many people view this choice as a binary, big company or small company. However, the size of a company has little to do with its performance. A company with only 50 staff may generate profits, while a company of 1,000 may operate at a loss. Nevertheless, since company size seems to be important for a lot of people, I will divide companies into 4 types: good big company, good small company, bad big company, bad small company. In these 4 categorizations, let's just assume that bigger companies earn more profit. Among these 4 types, my top choice would be a good big company, as working there will help you with fostering better work habits. There will be clear progression opportunities, a proper training system, and established SOPs to help you learn more effectively. Your colleagues will likely be outstanding people who have valuable experience to share with you. Finally, if you want to switch companies in the future, you will have access to a bigger pool of jobs due to your current company's good reputation. In the absence of a good big company, a good small company is a great alternative, as it offers many opportunities for you to shine. A small company's relative lack of staff means that your bosses are more likely to recognize your talent compared to a big company where you have many colleagues competing for attention. Under a small company's organization structure, you are also more likely to report directly to your boss and in turn learn directly from him or her. Looking to the future, in the event that the company expands, you stand to reap huge rewards as one of the original team. If you cannot manage to enter a good company, your next best pick is a bad small company. At the very least, work will not be that stressful. In addition, like working in a good small company, you will have a better chance of flexing your talents and eventually raising the performance of the company. The worst option of all is a bad big company with dysfunctional management and office politics with little hope of recognition or promotion. These companies should be avoided at all costs. So what makes a company good or bad in the first place? Different criteria apply depending on the size of the company. For a big company, it's important to determine whether its previous employees are well received in the job market. In-demand employees indicate that the company has good reputation among competitors. In addition, you should search for a company with upside potential. For example, is the company expanding their geographical reach? Are they introducing a new line of products? Companies on the upward trajectories offer valuable opportunities to grow and learn, compared to established companies that have been operating using the same model for decades. Finally, you should take note of the company culture. In a good company, Staff collaborate closely to achieve a common goal without being calculative. In contrast, employees in the bad company only look out for themselves and always blame others when something goes wrong. You never improve with this dead-end mindset. Let's turn to small companies now. If you are joining a startup, you may assess their fundraising performance. Since most people do not have access to information on startups, you may base a decision on whether they have received investment from VC and PE firms. VC and PE firms always analyze startup data before choosing to invest. So if that's the case for your chosen company, you know it has been deemed to have promise by experts. Although this method is not 100% accurate, it's very helpful when narrowing down your choices. If you are interested, you may visit this website called Crunchbase for startup fundraising data. Another thing to consider is the leader of the company, as startups live and die depending on their leader. A good startup leader will be a visionary who is familiar with market conditions, has a clear plan, and is not afraid to take risks and suffer hardship. A good example is Tony Fernandez, who took over AirAsia when it was a struggling, loss-making company and turned it into a budget travel giant that it is today. If you have managed to land a job in a good company, congratulations! What should you do now? Work as hard as you can, of course. Don't subscribe to the kind of zero-sum thinking that assumes that the more you give to your work, the more of yourself you lose. Instead, view a job as an extension of yourself. Focus on contributing to the company, not what you can get out of it. To help you, here's an analogy. Think of yourself as a professional football player whose mission is to help the club win every single match. Although every football player dreams of being transferred to a more prestigious club, they must first prove their worth to their current club. When you work on improving the performance of your company, you will also benefit in the end. On the job, it's also important to treat your superiors with respect. When it comes to dealing with superiors, especially those who make decisions that you don't like, it's critical to remember that your superiors did not get promoted to their current positions without good reason. In this situation, a little empathy will go a long way. Try to understand what your superiors might be going through before jumping to conclusions and criticizing. At the same time, take feedback from your superiors seriously, as they will never give advice to people they don't care about. Don't give lame excuse about why you don't accomplish the task that you were supposed to. If you are already confident in your abilities, reassure your superior in a respectful manner by acknowledging and repeating their instructions. Speaking of respect, colleagues deserve it as much as superiors do. As tempting as it can be to participate in workplace gossip, stay away from it at all costs, as it is both non-constructive and potentially damaging to your reputation. Nobody likes to work with a person with a poisonous tongue. That being said, if you happen to be on the receiving end of malicious gossip, resist the urge to exact revenge. Instead, focus on becoming a better person and proving your ability to those who dislike you. How do you become a better person then? First, acknowledge that it's necessary to keep learning. Don't assume that your value in the workplace stems from the fancy academic qualifications that you have accumulated over the years. In fact, companies like Apple and Google are beginning to hire talents without the traditional qualifications. In the current job market, companies are increasingly looking for a positive attitude, the ability to learn, and soft skills such as being a team player. So be humble and be prepared to gain practical experience on the job. Don't rush to promote yourself by submitting proposals to upper management in the first few months of work. Without the relevant experience, your suggestions are likely to be unreliable, and you will lose the respect of your colleagues too. I spoke about the value of teamwork just now, and I cannot emphasize it enough. Many people only focus on their own task and nothing else. However, a company is made up of many interconnected parts, and it can only function optimally when these parts, namely the staff, cooperate to achieve one big goal. So update your colleagues when your part of the job is done. Talk to them about the issues you face, how you solve them, and how your experience may help them complete their task more efficiently. Don't be a mere part, be the grease that ensures that all the other parts are running smoothly. Everything that I've mentioned is about acting professional. Nevertheless, it's also important to look professional. As much as it's unfair to judge a book by its cover, we can't stop the people we want to impress from doing so. To maintain your image, you must first maintain your health. Eat healthily and exercise regularly to keep yourself fit and trim. Having done that, groom and dress yourself appropriately for every occasion, as the clothes makes the man. Finally, finish it off with polished manners and intelligent, tasteful conversations. Although I presume that most of you will stick to a traditional day job, in view of the increasing number of young people who have a side hustle, I would like to close on an important side note. Should you be thinking about taking up a part-time job to supplement your income, please don't settle on one that doesn't help to advance your goals. If you do this, normally you will lose more than you gain due to the opportunity cost. Even if your part-time job is related to your field of expertise, you should be careful to not sacrifice your performance at your day job. Some people, however, choose to bypass the part-time job option entirely and derive their side income from speculation. I would strongly advise against this, as this is not a sustainable process. When you speculate, a lot of your success depends on luck, which is not often forthcoming. Relying on speculation to make a quick buck also makes you an impatient person who demands instant gratification and isn't willing to invest time and effort. I speak from personal experience, as I used to earn up to 5,000 ringgit a day trading on stock market. Although I was making good money, I came to realize that it was not worth it, and it negatively impacted my mindset. I also started losing money once my luck ran out. Because of this, I really want to remind you that supposed shortcuts and backdoor options are also challenging in their own way, not to mention being illegal. Please focus on reaching your goals the honest way. I can assure you that it's worth it. That's it for today. I apologize if I came across as long-winded. I know times are tough, but as history has shown us again and again, we humans are capable of overcoming anything provided we stay strong and work together. I wish bosses who are working out a solution for their company the best of luck. As for employees, please be more understanding towards your bosses and trust them to do their best. Let's create a new world after this pandemic together.